as I was putting this together, I'm thinking to myself, right, I want to show you some marketing automation, some tools around getting new clients. Because if getting more business is the problem, we ultimately want to get to more sales. Down here, we're going to have more sales. But to get to it, there's a process. And part of that process over time has been driven in the last maybe 10 or 15 years by automated systems, and more importantly, behavioral automated systems. When I am having conversations with our clients and prospective clients, these people that I'm talking to all day, every day are business owners, predominantly business owners who are running businesses with their better half, their family-run businesses, husbands and wives, with perhaps a small team of people, anything from 1 or 2 people all the way up to 20, 30 people. That's not really the issue. It's the fact that it's a family-run business with often the husband and wife either directly in partnership or one running it with the other one supporting it. It's a very common concept of how businesses are run in the space that we operate in. And the challenges and problems that come at us, whilst they are many and very specific and bespoke to every single one, and we will always do our level best to identify and solve the problems that are before us. If I take 3 steps backwards, I can see a pattern. And that pattern is often driven by how the business owner is feeling and reacting. And the feelings and reactions that they have to their business are caused by the results of their activity. So you've got this sort of circular event. They go do stuff, things happen. If they're great, brilliant. If they're not, they struggle. We need to do more stuff to fix it, and round it goes. That's just the cycle of business. And where we sit in the list of things that come to me, vast majority are sales and marketing driven problems. They need more sales, they need more regular sales, they need better quality sales, followed by they've got too many sales and now they've got a production problem and they can't keep up with production and they just become too busy, and then immediately followed with a lull and there's a gap and they're not very busy. So then planning comes into it, time management comes into it. So that's where we come into these problems. But the real problems are that they're overwhelmed, they're stressed, they're worried, financially worried, pressures of money, paying the bills. Guess what? It's a sales-related problem. A lot of what we do comes down to helping people get more money and actually have the thing a bit easier. If we can make life a bit easier by making the whole process easy, we can buy back a bit of time, we can create choices. If we can generate a bit more money, then suddenly they can afford to do some of the things. But the barrier to entry on this sometimes is that people are so busy that they don't have the luxury of time in their minds to learn about some of the things that can help them solve problems, including completely unaware of what the problems what the solutions are to the problems. So you might have a marketing problem or a time management problem, but you don't realize there's piles of software and tools out there to help you with this process. And what I'm going to share with you is a little bit of my journey of some of the things that I've learned along the way, and also what I'm doing right now with my business and what some of my clients are doing that you might be interested in taking note of and seeing if you can do some exploring yourself to see if it can help you. And if we can use this video to help you save some time and make a bit more money, then this video's done its job. How does that sound? Cool? Right, let's get into it. Down here, we're going to have more sales. But to get to it, there's a process. And part of that process over time has been driven in the last maybe 10 or 15 years by automated systems, and more importantly, behavioral automated systems. When I first heard that term, I didn't get it. I didn't understand what that could possibly mean. Well, technology is around now. If you stop and think about it, you already know this happens even if you don't consciously know about it. And that is that you can send an email to somebody, you can have somebody on your website clicking on things, doing things in your social medias, running adverts, whatever you're doing online. The systems in the background can detect what's happening, behavioral. So let me give you an example. If I sent you an email and asked you to click on the link to take you to a web page, and on that web page I wanted you to put your email in, and in return I'll send you a PDF. All of that can be automated. Here's the web page. You press the button, the system knows you've pressed the button, you fill in your email address, the system takes your email address, puts it in the database, the system sends you an email. And that's what this behavioral system is. You send them to a landing page. Essentially, the critical thing in amongst all that is the thank you page. The thank you page on any sort of web-based system where you're collecting data is the signal that says that worked. Okay, without the thank you page, them putting their name in doesn't go anywhere, because when you've got the thank you page, the information can be then stored in the database and put on your list. So how do we get people onto a list in your world? You send them to a page, they fill in their details, you put them on the list. Now, in return for them putting their details in, you can automatically send some emails out delivering the thing. So let's say, for example, you wanted to give somebody a PDF in exchange for an email. The PDF needs to be valuable, needs to be worth the effort of giving your email. They put their details in, the system puts them on the list, the system sends out emails or series of emails delivering the product or service. Okay, now the theory being, at this point here when they came into your world, let's change my colour over here, let's have that one. As they were coming into your world over here, they didn't know you existed, didn't know what your problem was. And now they're going, this is something I'm interested in. They're not a customer at that stage necessarily, but they're going, this is of interest. So much so that I'm prepared to type my details in and get the information and go to my emails and read the information. Now, of course, along that journey, you will have done this yourself, from requesting some information to never looking at it ever again. You put your details in, you never even read the thing. It went to spam, you got interrupted, it got busy, right? So human behavior is the thing down here. So this is a behavioral system that tries to match human behavior. But equally, people who sign up to things and don't do anything afterwards, that's a behavioral sign. That could be the quality of the thing you offered wasn't good enough. That could be the way you offered it attracted the wrong people. There's a massive difference between saying, here's my book for free versus here my book, give me £5. If you give me £5, that's quite a commitment. I'll send you a book. You might then read it. You get it for free. You might not even open the email that sends it to you for free. There's still no guarantee that you buy it and you might not read it, but the behavioral side of things is perhaps you're more likely to read my book if you buy it rather than me send you a free copy. Okay, it's just human behavior. It's how we are wired as human beings. We go for the line of least resistance. But back to these systems, when we have these systems, next thing that happen is we can tag people. We can tag their activities. This person did this, give it a tag. This person did that, give it another tag. When you tag them, you can then have a decision that says, all the people with this tag, send them this group of emails. All the people with that tag, send them this. So in this scenario, you have a page, they go to a thank you page, their name goes into a list, you send them an email and say, here's my PDF. Those that opened the email and the PDF get a tag. Those that didn't get a different tag. Then you send another email sequence that says, hey, I see you opened my PDF I sent you. Did you find the information I gave you on page 3 useful? Did you do the scorecard? Did you fill in the piece of information I suggested? Did you do the exercise? Did it help you? You can send that email because you know that they've opened it, and therefore the email is more in line with the conversation you're having. Versus, hey, I sent you a thing last week. My system tells you didn't open it. Maybe it went into spam. Here it is again. Is there anything else we can do for you? And so you have a different conversation. So these systems have been around for a while, and the software platforms that are out there, you'll know who they are. There's lots of them out there. When I first learned about this, I didn't get it. One of the first things that I had to learn, and I'm very grateful for the person that forced me to learn this, is that for these systems to work properly, what you need to do is you need to be very clear on who your ideal client is. We've established a process where we split our ideal client into an Alex and Chris. They're neither male nor female, but Alex is our perfect client, the absolute perfect person. If Alex walked through the door now and I asked them a couple of questions, I'd go, you are an Alex, you belong here as a client. If a Chris walked through the door and said, hey, my name's Chris, and started talking to me, I'd go, thank you, nice to meet you, close the door on your way out. I don't want Chris as a client. Now, that's for all sorts of reasons, from personal to practical. Now, the communication that goes on these systems, the copy, the writing. I didn't know what a copywriter was when I started this. Apparently, there's a whole trade for writing clever words, clever sales copy. When you really get into it, you realize that it's a skill and an art in and of itself. And a very valuable skill, because that copy is what gets people to open things, read things, do things, take action, which is the part of it. And so if you don't understand what copy is, and you don't understand what your ideal client is, and you don't actually have a process in your sales and marketing system on a manual basis for bringing people into your world, then all these automation systems are going to be very, very hard work to install. Because if you want to make something automated, you first of all have to have a process, whether that's a marketing process or a manufacturing process. You've got to know how you do this, then you do that, then this happens. If that happens, do that. If that happens, do this. That's the process every single time. In your business, you would perhaps refer to this as your SOPs, your standard operating procedures. You've got somebody who does a job. They do it very well all day, every day. You pay them. They do a great job. Everybody's happy. Have you taken that person's role and written it down? Put it into a document that says, if that person leaves, we can bring a new person in and go, read that, follow it to the letter, take over the job. Most small businesses don't do that. Most people don't have time to do that. But I'm going to show you some ways that you can solve that problem very quickly using technology. So let's take as an example, take this a little bit further. You have prospects, people out in the world who are either Alex or Chris's in your world. They're either good people that you want or bad people. I've covered this in another video. Ideally, that needs to be split into a category of 80-20. So 20% of the people that come into your world should be Alex and 80% of the world should be Chris's. And you want to be repelling Chris. You don't want people in there. Why? Because you're running a business, serving clients every day, looking after them, doing your thing that you love doing. You don't want to do it for arseholes. It just makes the day hard work. When I had 450 clients many, many years ago, there was a proportion of them, 80%, that I just didn't even like. They'd cause me grief, cause me a hard time. They didn't want to pay their bills. They fought over the fees. They just were hard work. And the honest answer that my mentor said to me is, well, you invited them in. So I got clear on who I invited in. That meant the net result was I had less clients to deal with, but much higher quality, which meant that I could provide a much higher service for two reasons. One, I had more time. Two, I had more energy. If I have somebody in front of me who I like and who is matching my energy and doing something to help themselves, I'm all in. I am all in. My clients know this. My clients know that sometimes when it's a bit tough for them and they get on a call with me, they speak to me on video call and they go, I really need some help. And I'm sitting there going, okay, it's 11 o'clock. I'll be with you at 2. I'm coming down to see you now. Go and see our clients, because I'm more than happy to jump in the car and go and sit with them face to face to solve a problem, work through the night if we have to, because they're lovely people. Why wouldn't I? I do that for my family. I do that for my clients. But it means that I've got to have the right people through the door first. So I've got to have people coming in and sitting over here, the right people. And I say sitting over here because over here is where we deliver our service. And I'm going to draw a little picture of a van to indicate that we deliver our services and our products. And we've got to get to the point where we can deliver our service and products. And at that point, they need to be a client. Definition of a client: somebody that you serve and somebody who pays you. So in order for them to be a client of yours, they must be paying you. That means you need to get paid before you do the work. Oh, controversial. Surely I do the work, wait 30 days, then hope to get paid. Well, hope's not a very good strategy. And number two, there's no guarantee you're going to get paid. If you've been in business for any length of time, I suspect at some point you've done your best for somebody and they've not paid you. More often than not, because they're not bad people. Their business is running like your business. They're short of cash because they're doing work and waiting to get paid. And the guy before them is doing work and waiting to get paid. And the guy before them and the guy before them. And somewhere up the line, somebody has failed in business. And it's trickled all the way down to the guy that's about to pay you can't pay you because something's gone wrong upstream, and now he can't pay you, and the domino effect happens. If you haven't seen any of this and you want to, if you like scary movies, go and search liquidators and insolvency practitioners and turnaround companies. There are businesses out there making a living, a big living, helping businesses shut down every day of the week. So the damage can be done if you don't get paid. And what people think they should do is get paid after the event. And I can tell you that is a big mistake, because there is massive risk, and you are already putting in massive risk building your business as it is. So let's de-risk that. If you don't know how to get paid up in advance, perhaps I'll do a whole video on that, but put a note in the comments and we'll talk about it. But that's the sort of thing we show our clients how to overcome. How can you get paid in advance before doing the work? So how do we get to that point? Well, at some point, we're going to need to have some sort of either sales conversation or sales form with a button that says, buy my shit. And it might even be a combination of the two. In my world, it is a combination of the two, and we attach to it a direct debit form, and we actually have that on a web page. And if people want to become a client of ours, we send them to venturecoaching.com/DD. There's a direct debit form on there. You fill up the direct debit form, I get notified, I press the button and raise the invoice, direct debit takes your first payment, we book our first meeting. Simple as. Because if somebody is going to engage in your services, buy your things, are they going to pay you? Well, if the answer is yes, they're going to pay you, why not pay you up front? What difference does it make? It makes a massive difference to you. It doesn't make any difference to them. If you go to the supermarket and you buy your groceries, you can put them all in the trolley, you can pull up to the till, you can't go out the door unless you pay them. You've got to do the paying bit before you take the groceries home. Same goes with the services we offer in small businesses, right? So, getting payment here, getting commitment for payment here before you do the work is really important. Therefore, these people that you're talking to are perhaps going to come into your world in any way, shape or form. They might come to you in web pages, landing pages, social media posts. They might phone you. They might WhatsApp you. You might meet them at a networking event, a trade show. People are going to come at you every which way, in which case you've got a lot of traffic coming through in your world. And what I see with some of our clients is that when that traffic comes in, they've almost got one individual line that takes them to the sales bit. And then when you start doing some analysis, of the sales process, you suddenly find there's a different sales process for different things. Does that matter? Not really. Unless, of course, the data's telling us stuff. And what I often find is the data tells us that if you've got multiple channels of people signing up with you with multiple people, there's no real system. And therefore person A will sell to person A and sell at this price, and person B will sell to person B at this price, and person C at this price, and this person will come this way and get this type of treatment, and this person will get this type of treatment. There's no standard. It's all a bit different. And I guess the easiest way to describe this is if you were to draw your business out, and this is what I'm trying to do here, is demonstrate a bit of a flowchart, but if you draw this out as a flowchart, what you don't really want to see is a point in the middle here that says, when I get to this point, it depends. It's a good way of testing and asking whoever's in charge of the sales process, quite often it's the business owner. If somebody was to send you a WhatsApp, how would you turn them into a customer? Oh, it depends. Depends on what? Depends who they are, depends what they say, depends. Whoa, we've got a problem because it's not a system. Depends is not a system. But if you could say to yourself, well, actually, what our goal is within our business is to drive people to a page, and maybe you've got 2 pages or even 3 pages because you're testing it, but we're going to drive people, however they get to us, to this page. This page has information. And on that page, we only want them to do one specific thing, and that is to book an appointment. And in booking that appointment, doesn't matter which page they land on, doesn't matter how they get to you. If somebody sends you a WhatsApp because you're crazy enough to give your WhatsApp out, you just say to them, hey, great, thanks for your inquiry. Just go here and book an appointment. And you send them to the page. If somebody is on your social media and they go, I like what you're talking about, you DM them back and go, yeah, no problem, just go to this page. If somebody's on a website and they're looking up and reading all about you, the website should just point them to book an appointment. What a lot of people do is they'll have their website to book them to all these other things. Maybe that's okay, but I personally think we've got to streamline this into one thing. You'll also see as you look at this is you've kind of got the funnel approach going on in here. If I just draw my funnel, here's your funnel approach. And this is your criteria to filter people before they come into your world. And we want to protect your world. We want you serving clients that you love serving. You know, in the past, if you've had clients, you might have one right now, where you've won a job and it's like, oh my God, I love doing this job. You know, in your mind, I do this for free. It's such a great client, such good work. I'm loving it. This is what I became self-employed for. But sadly, they're few and far between. You get 1 or 2 and then you get a load of arseholes. Well, the filter system back here is really important. So what we do back here is work out what that filter system is. And in doing so, we're going to have a process where people will come to your world, or you will invite people into your world. And as they come into this funnel area, you might need to communicate to them. Maybe they're not ready to buy right now. Some people have signed up, and this is where this behavioral automation system comes in. If you had a database that captured names and addresses, as people come into your world here, however they come in, you were to get them to actually join a list. What you can do with that list is essentially follow up and 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 follow up forever. You can send a daily email out. We send a daily email out. Every day, Vicky writes an email to the people who are not clients and says, hey, prospects, here's my thought for the day. It's her equivalent of my YouTube. I produce YouTubes every week. At the moment, I'm producing 2 a week as I'm recording this. So 2 videos a week going up on my YouTube channel is my consistent message out to people who might want to join our world. And if they do, they'll jump into our world, they'll apply, and we'll decide whether we can work with you or not based on the criteria to come through this site. That's the sort of thing that you can do. Now, if you didn't know about this world over here, and you didn't know about your website and all the rest of it, you might be thinking, oh, this is so complicated, it's really difficult, it's really hard. Actually, it's not. If we went back 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, trust me, it was really hard. It's a bit like going back to the 1980s when Windows first came out. And I don't mean Windows 95, I mean there's Windows 3.1. it was like, what is this? I started off with computers with a black screen and a green cursor, and I was told to type commands in, prompts. Ooh, AI. Oh, we're doing prompts, right? We just gave it instructions and it did stuff. I had to know what the instructions were, and we did things like spreadsheets, not very fancy. Then Windows came in, then we had the evolution of Windows all the way up to where we are with Windows and Chromebooks and Apple, all things, all the platforms we have today. But it's so more intuitive because you can do things on your phone, on your computer. It all sort of magically works together when it works. Of course, sometimes it doesn't. But the user interface and the way we do things is so much easier today than it ever was before. For example, getting a direct debit form and putting it on a web page so that people could pay you by direct debit is nothing more complicated than going, we use GoCardless, no affiliate or anything, but we use GoCardless, go to GoCardless, go to the link that says, give me my direct debit form, copy the code, it says copy this code, copy the code, go to your website, put a box that says HTML code, paste it, publish, done. All right, nothing really that complicated. Now, you might get somebody to do that, but if you know that it's relatively easy to do, if you know it's a simple process, then you might be more encouraged to go and explore and do some of this. You might be encouraged to go and watch some more YouTubes. You might be encouraged to ask better questions. You might be encouraged to get somebody in to help you, to point you in the directions. When I go into companies and I talk to them about automation, I don't build their automation systems out for them. I just give them the confidence they can do it themselves. Share the tools that we use, and they go, well, I'll try what you're using, Kev. And I go, yeah, I like it, it works. And they use it, and then they get on one of our Q&As, perhaps on a Wednesday morning, and go, Kev, I got stuck doing this, what do you do? And I went, oh, I got stuck there a little while. Did you know it's called this? Oh, off they go, and they go fix it, and we all learn from each other. Okay, so these tools are available, and this writing of emails and writing of content and automation. The thing that I'm going to tell you about it is really quite critical. I'm a bit nerdy with this stuff. I quite like it. It gives me a bit of a jolly to learn. I like to learn. I think it's important that I go through life continuing to learn. As I got involved in all this automation, it's the sort of thing that you go, oh, it can do that. Yes, do that. Oh, it can do that. Oh, let me do that. Oh, it can do that. And you end up building a massive pile of automation. You add to it, you add to it, you add to it. I've learnt that's not the right thing to do. Because the more you add to it, the more complicated it becomes. And you end up with what I call Frankenstein's monster. You end up with this thing that is so big in what it's doing. It's trying to do 28 different things that sometimes your own logic breaks. You don't realize that this thing over here and this thing over here are connected, and it's now falling apart or doing things you didn't think it was going to do. It can drive you nuts. So we want to simplify it. And that actually helps business owners, because most business owners in their head are like Frankenstein's monster trying to do too many things. Some of the things not very well, because they don't have the time or the capacity or the energy to do the one thing properly. If you sat down and just did one thing really well and you persevered for the next month to get that one thing right, tick, done. You should never have to do that again. And then do the next thing. But we can't. We've got to deal with customers, we've got to deal with staff, suppliers, we've got to do our bookkeeping, we've got to deal with the bank manager, we've got to do all the stuff. And then we've got to go home and we've got a family to run and look after. And it becomes too much. We're just trying to do too many things. So we've got to simplify this. And today, having been through that exercise, used an automation system, got it so complicated, the only way I could fix it was to actually turn it off and go and start another one. I made it so complicated, I couldn't fix it. And it was cheaper and easier and faster to go, turn it off, I'm going to start a new system. I took that new system, we streamlined it. Instead of having, I can't remember what we had, 40, I don't know, lots, 40 or 50 different automations, we reduced that down to 12. And out of those 12, I think 6 or 7 of them are just internal for our own purposes. So externally, maybe only 4 or 5 external automations to do with our marketing. Really simplified it. We're currently going through another iteration of that. We've had a meeting this week. We're going to make even less automations. And I think we might even end up with maybe just 5 or 6 simple automations, nothing complicated. But in order to do any of it, we have to have a flow chart. We have to map it out, and we use a flow charting tool to do that. It starts off often on this whiteboard, and I map out what we're trying to do, because as we're trying to map this out, we're trying to understand what are the little nuances that happen between that process and that process. If you have a telephone call, what happens? Do you have a meeting and a cup of coffee, and then do you send an email out with a quotation, and do you go and visit their property and do an estimate and get them to a document? What's going on in there? Or does all that happen here? What happens after the appointment? How do we get people to sign up? I can't go into the detail of that here because everybody's going to have a little different routine. But what I'm hopefully getting over to here is that you've got to understand who's coming into your world. You've got to definitely understand your Alex and Chris's. You've got to figure out how you get the Alexes through and the Chris's not, so that you don't waste too much time. You've got to figure out how you get people signed up and then deliver the work. Because over here, if you do that, you're going to end up with a bunch of very happy clients who love what you do, who think you're amazing, who sing your praises, who are very, very happy about your service, and will probably come back and do more, and probably tell their friends to come back and do more. And suddenly you've got a business that's really pleasurable to run. To finish up, I'm just going to touch on a bit of AI, because that's something I'm working on right now. I've realized through research, through watching some YouTubes, through going to networking events, listening to people who have perhaps a little bit more advanced in it than I am, which is most people, and realizing that, there's a lot of talk about building AI agents. What is an AI agent? Well, it's actually like a little person that you could employ, and they'll do things for you. Singular tasks that are repetitive. Brilliant. That's what I like. It's kind of what this does, but it's a bit linear. It'll come in one end, it does something, it either does that or it does that. This will do the same, but it also has a bit of a brain. Could you go and do some research and find me this? Well, you just need to give it the criteria and it'll find the research. Could you write me some sales copy based on this? It'll write you some really good sales copy so you can do your copy. Here's what I've learned about it. I can go to the AI and I can say, right, I need to create something for AI to give me a result. Tell me what I should create for it. What document? We call them DNA documents. Other people call them prompts. Other people call them playbooks. I don't think anybody knows what to call them really. We just call it a DNA document. If I'm going to write some sales copy, first things first, I want a DNA document that's the DNA of me and my business, so that it's got my voice, so that it knows what I do, so it knows who I serve. That means I need a DNA document of my ideal client. I need a DNA document of the thing that I do. Now I can go to AI and say, read this document, this is who I am. Read this part of the document, this is what I do. Read this document, this is who I sell to. This is my ideal client. And this is not my ideal client. Read this document that says, this is the voice I use. These are the phrases I don't use, these are the phrases I do use. You just build that, but you get AI to do it for you. You just talk to it and it'll do it for you. Did you know you could just talk to it and it'll interpret what you're saying? You just got to have conversations with it. So we're building a little team of people, AI people. We're even giving them names. Okay, so we've got Dan and Alan and we've got Colin and we've got Kath, and these people are helping us already do things. And we're just picking off little tiny bits and pieces. How did we know which pieces to pick off? Well, behind the scenes, I'm just going to draw it in the middle here, a thumping great flowchart. I say thumping great flowchart. I have a flowchart. It's not that big. It's a flowchart. And in that flowchart, I've got mapped out our entire business. This is what happens here. This goes to here. This goes to here. Up it goes up here, and sometimes it goes off here. And all of our business is mapped out in a flowchart. And in mapping out my flowchart, I was able to identify with clarity as to what things were already automated in some sort of system, what things other people did. And I was left with little, and I coloured them in black, little things that Vicky and I had to do manually. These were the things. And I'm saying to myself, what if I could get rid of those things? I'd get my time back. So either A, I employ somebody to do that, or B, I'm choosing to use an AI agent. So some of the tasks that we have a meeting every Monday morning, and I'd like a bit of pre-preparation for that meeting to get some data. It's for me and Vicky. The problem is, I don't want to be the person prepping the meeting, nor does Vicky. We want to be the person using the information. So we've had in the past a part-time PA who prepped the meeting for us. Great, that's brilliant. But sometimes we would mess it up by having the meeting on a different day. And so we had a communication problem. And so the 1 hour meeting was now 4 hours of other stuff that we still didn't want to be involved in. So we revisited the whole thing and now realized that we can have a little agent that every Monday morning at 9 o'clock pops up and says, here's your report, because it can get the data from our systems. This is the magical stuff that's now beginning to happen that you might not realize. And you might be scared about it. You might be thinking, oh my God, this is all overwhelming. But if any of this sort of even piques your interest to go, see, oh, that guy's onto something. I think he's got some ideas that could help me. Come talk to us. Leave a comment in the comments below. Watch some more videos. Communicate there, or head over to our website. Come and see if we can help you. That's what we're here to do. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next video.